Get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Oh, well, 0 days since our last nonsense here on Locked In. Per several of you on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, there was a hot mic in the break. You didn't say anything tawdry, did you, Grayson?
No, this was before I got in here, so I was not involved.
Okay, good.
I was not involved with
Good.
that.
I know I didn't say anything tawdry. We'll have to check and make sure Connor Pasby didn't either, just to cover all of our bases. But now that we're past that, let's get rolling here on a Friday. I am out here at Riverwind Casino, conveniently located off of I-35 and Highway 9. Of course, it features almost 3,000 of your favorite games, 20 table games, 11 poker tables, as well as the Showplace Theater. Upcoming entertainment here at Riverwind, well, for more than 60 years, Patti LaBelle's resplendent voice has left an indelible mark all over the world. Patti has created timeless songs that have helped cement her place as a music icon and garnered her numerous honors, including Grammy Awards. You can see her here at the Riverwind Showplace Theater on May 2nd. Tickets are available at the Showplace Theater box office or online at riverwind.com. Mr. Singleton, how are we doing on this Friday?
Well, Danny Wolf played like as soft as premium cottonelle tissue last night, so he sold my parlay.
So your parlay was dead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I recouped some of my money, but I could have doubled it if he had just gotten 14 points at 7'1" against a team whose tallest player they played was 6'7". Needless to say, I'm pretty pissed at Michigan, but otherwise I'm pretty good, man. How are you?
You know, I was really hoping that we'd get our first taste of actual chaos earlier today because Robert Morris
made it interesting.
Yes, the university, not the person. Robert Morris University gave Alabama all they could handle in the second tip of the day. I believe Baylor-Mississippi State was the only tournament game that started earlier than Robert Morris and Alabama today. But Robert Morris led that game with less than 7-8 minutes to play. Robert Morris led that game against Alabama 65-64. Alabama turned it on a little bit at the end, was able to pull away. They win that one 90-81 over the 15 seed Colonials of Robert Morris. But man, I tell you, Grayson, it's been a really anticlimactic tournament so far. We only had 2 upsets yesterday, 2 games that would have been categorized as upsets. I don't count 9 seeds over 8 seeds as upsets. We had Drake knock off Missouri, and we had McNeese knock off Clemson, which were probably the 2 most popular upset picks in the entire tournament field, so you're hesitant to even call those upsets. Moreover, both Drake and McNeese not only won, they looked like they were by far the better team than their opponent.
Oh, no doubt. And, I mean, I called this yesterday. I thought this was going to be a pretty straight-up tournament, aside from the most popular picks. I picked McNeese. I didn't pick Drake in either of my I think I picked Drake in one of my brackets. But no, I'm not shocked. What I am shocked at, especially from yesterday, is that a lot of these games weren't even close. Today's been a lot better. Iowa State, I say that as Iowa State is just blowing the doors off of Lipscomb. But they've been closer today, but I'm not too shocked that these games weren't there hasn't been a whole lot of drama. I just didn't think that was going to be the case coming into this tournament once I saw the matchups.
And you've been correct so far. Very little chaos, very little madness. No real stunning upsets thus far. I guess the rest of the day, some of these games that we have to look forward to, Grand Canyon, that's been kind of a trendy upset pick over 4th-seeded Maryland. You got Troy against 3rd-seeded Kentucky. Of course, it was Coach Cal's Kentucky, but they did lose last year as a 3-seed to Jack Golke and Oakland. Akron, the 13-seed, going up against 4th-seeded Arizona. There's a little bit of upset potential there. And then the latest tip of the night, a 9:10 p.m. Central Time matchup between Liberty and Oregon. Oregon, the 5 seed, Liberty, a 12. And we'll see if the Flames can put an early end to Dana Altman and his team stay in this year's tournament field. But obviously, the main event, if you're a Sooner fan, is tonight at 8:25 p.m. Central Time, as Oklahoma will face off with the 2-time defending national champion UConn Huskies in an 8-9 matchup. So, do Jeremiah Fears and the Sooners have what it takes to overcome a UConn team that is not the same team they were a year ago, or certainly not the year before that, but still a dangerous team and eager for a potential matchup with number 1 seed Florida in the round of 32? We will soon find out. We'll talk a lot about that game in particular over the next 4 hours here on the Ref, because Grayson and I are going to be on these airwaves for the next 4 hours here on the Ref. We're going to wrap up Locked In at 3 o'clock and immediately launch into another 3 hours with you on The Rush as we fill the shoes of Teddy Lehman and Machine Gun McComas, respectively. But as we do every day here on Locked In, let's kick off by talking a little Sooner football, Grayson. And, you know, we had Bob Stoops on the show yesterday. At the 5 o'clock hour of the Rush, we closed out the show by having 2 segments worth of conversation with the great Coach Stoops. And the last question I asked him was a question about the wide receiver room at Oklahoma going into 2025. And Bob said some nice things about Emmett Jones as a coach, said some nice things about the offensive scheme and the staff at large. But he acknowledged, look, I'm probably not the most qualified one to talk about this wide receiver group because I haven't been out to practice thus far this spring. I haven't seen the new guys. I've been getting my Arlington Renegades ready for action in the UFL, which kicks off next weekend. So Bob didn't have much of an answer. But Grayson, I'd love to know what your answer is. When we take a look at this wide receiver group, there are a few guys that you feel like you can count on getting stable production from. Deion Burks being one of those, certainly. Probably the preeminent guy that you feel like, okay, provided he's healthy, you know what he is. You know what you're going to get from a healthy Deion Burks in this Oklahoma offense. Elsewhere, though, man, a lot of exciting additions to the room, as well as some exciting returners from last year's wide receiver room that will be healthy, you would assume, once again, after a lot of them dealt with the injury plague last season. Man, looking at that receiver room right now as it stands, there's been a lot of praise for Giovanni Gibson. Obviously, I think there are some modestly high expectations for Isaiah Satania, given what he has done throughout his collegiate career at Arkansas up till this point. But outside of Deion Burks, as you evaluate that Oklahoma receiver room, who do you think has major boom potential in 2025?
The easy answer is Gibson, given what you and your constituents and your fellow reporters that cover OU on the beat have said. Giovanni Gibson, a big-framed receiver that has grown up over the years, coming through the FCS and now into the FBS for the first time. The guy I'm really looking at, to be quite honest with you, and the 2 guys that I think separate this receiver room from last year are Manny Choice and Elijah Thomas. And the reason why is because last year you had the whole host of injuries, and then when you had to turn to those young guys, they just weren't ready. Whereas this year, I think if you get into the situation, be it for injury reasons or just trying to get somebody a blow or something like that in the middle of a game, or you could want to put them in certain packages, you have receivers that are younger that are more ready to contribute now in terms of Choice and Thomas. And I think that was something this team was obviously missing a year ago. So if you had to ask me my early read on this receiver room, the answer I would give you is it's deeper. It's a lot deeper. And we thought so last year before all the injuries struck. But I think this year it's a real thing. You brought in all the transfer receivers you wanted to bring in. You got the 2 big-time receiver targets out of the portal that you needed. And you were able to keep Deion Burks around. So I think you're going into this season, and one word would be your receiver room for Emmett Jones is deeper. There is excitable depth along that position.
One of the things I think is super interesting, when we consider the reality that you have a new offensive mind at the helm in Ben Arbuckle, is you have to ask yourself the question, is Arbuckle the type of guy, and he said from the time he took the job, he's going to allow he's going to allow personnel to dictate scheme. So he's not going to impose his scheme upon the program and try to shoehorn guys into the roles in the scheme. What he's going to do is he's going to take stock of what he has in that receiver room and tailor his offense to what they do well. So what I find myself wondering, I think what's natural to wonder, and you can go back to his time at Washington State certainly to get a clue, but you think Arbuckle is the type of guy that's going to lean towards size or lean towards speed? It'd be great to have 4 or 5 Giovanni Gibsons that have both size and speed, but you look around that room, have a guy like Zion Reagans, right, who's 5'8", 155 pounds soaking wet, but he can absolutely fly. You got other smaller guys in that room. A KJ Daniels, for instance. Satania is not the biggest receiver, nor is Deion Burks. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you bring back Jaden Gibson, right? And you have Ivan Carrion. And Emmanuel Choice himself is 6'4", 212 pounds. You get the sense Arbuckle in year one at Oklahoma is going to lean more on speed guys or more on size guys.
My guess is speed. That's my guess, because if you look at the offense last year, and a lot of times an offensive coordinator will come into a new system, or any coordinator in general, and he sees a big weakness. He said, I want to fix that particular weakness. And the one weakness, or one of the many weaknesses was Oklahoma didn't have the threat of stretching the field. And I think that made them easier to game plan against. I mean, you think of the one deep pass to J.J. Hester. I think him and Michael Hawkins connected on one in the Auburn game. There was a connection in the Maine game. And outside of that, is there a memorable pass play over 20 yards of air yardage? I don't think that existed. So I think he's going to want to go speed. I think with how creative he is as a play caller, he will want to go speed in terms of running the ball horizontally in terms of jet sweeps, end arounds, that kind of thing. So I'm gonna go speed here. Size never hurts, and like you mentioned, size with speed, like in the case of a Giovanni Gibson or a Manny Choice, to that matter too, I think will unlock a whole new dimension that just wasn't there last year, be it caused by injury or whatever.
And obviously, there are receivers, like I said, Giovanni Gibson, A1 on this list. You mentioned Elijah Thomas a little bit earlier. Guys like that, they've got some size, they've got some speed. They're a little bit of everything you need them to be. But what I'm going to be really interested to see is, you bring up a guy like Carrion and a guy like Zion Reagans, two absolute polar opposites, right? One is 10 inches taller and 70 pounds heavier than the other. But Zion Reagans ran a 10.2 in high school. And so we know what those guys' individual strong suits are. We know what their calling cards are. But at some point, one of those guys, I think, is just going to naturally get lost in the shuffle, because the way it tends to be is when you have guys that are speed merchants or guys that are trees, you're not going to be able to accommodate both of those guys long term in an offense. What's going to happen, in my mind, is there will come a point at which it becomes apparent Reagans doesn't have much of a place, or a guy like Reagans doesn't have much of a place in Arbuckle's offense long term, or it becomes apparent that a guy like Carrion doesn't have much of a place in Arbuckle's offense moving forward. So, man, what happens with this receiver room, I'm going to be keeping close eyes up. First and foremost, they got to stay healthy. And it's such a simple thing, a thing you feel like you shouldn't have to worry about to the extent that you had to worry about it a season ago. But, man, just given what's already happened in spring, I think it's fair to wonder, okay, are they going to be sitting there at the table with a full hand in the fall? Because we're already seeing guys dropping like flies, right? Deion Burks has been limited. He was wearing that little boot at practice a couple weeks ago before they took the break for spring break. Jaden Gibson, as we know, aggravated his knee injury that he's coming back from, and he's not going to participate this spring. He'll have a lengthier rehab at this point. And you go to Reagan's, who I believe it was midweek last week, had to shut it down for the remainder of spring practice due to an injury. And so that receiver room, even though they have made so many additions, they're still experiencing attrition, even long before the season rolls around. You hope all those guys are ready to roll come the season, and that should be the expectation naturally. But I think what's going to be pivotal in particular for guys like Satania, guys like Josiah Martin, and Keontez Lewis as well, who's another guy that's dealing with injury at the moment. What kind of actual depth can those guys provide? Can they make an impact, or will they just be out there getting their cardio in? Because, man, there was so much to get excited about in 2023. The guy like Brennan Thompson with what he did down the stretch, right? Long touchdown catch against TCU in the regular season finale. Another long touchdown catch against Arizona in the bowl game. And you're thinking, all right, this dude with his speed, the absolute burner that he is, he can give you something with another year in the weight room and another year just getting more comfortable at Oklahoma. And it was not to be. He was on the field a lot in 2024. But he was not making much of a productive impact at all. Most of the time, he was just out there running. And you'd think for a speed guy, there would be some separation that on a regular basis he'd be able to create, and he didn't, man. To me, that's the big thing. That is the absolute biggest thing for Oklahoma's receiving core in 2025. Not necessarily about how big they are nor how fast they are. It's, do you got guys in that room that can create separation? Do you have guys that, whether they're working in short, intermediate, downfield, whatever the case may be, can they give John Mateer separation such that he doesn't have to fit the ball into those tight windows and count on his guys to go make contested catches? And the Sooners do have some really good contested catch wide receivers on this roster, no doubt about that. But can you make it easy on your quarterback? You make it easy on your quarterback that, yes, he's going to know the system, but he's also going to be playing Power 4 football for the first time in his life. As long as he has the protection, the other thing you got to have on the back end from those wide receivers is separation. If they're creating separation and they're making it easy on Mateer to scan the field, find guys, move the ball, move the sticks, move the chains, etc., Oklahoma could return to being an offensive powerhouse in 2025. I don't think it is outside the realm of possibility that they are exactly the type of offense in 25 that they were in the years 2015 through 23, as if 2024 never happened. It feels like a bit of an aberration as it is. I think it could be regarded as much more of an aberration if those receivers that Emmett Jones is able to work into the rotation in 2025 are just consistently creating separation and nothing more. Okay, keep firing away on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, as many of you have so far. It's 405-651-3439 if you want to chime in throughout the show. Locked In, brought to you today and every day by the great folks at Dorsey Jones Buick GMC out in El Reno. Great sales staff, great service, half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Go check them out there in El Reno at Dorsey Jones Buick GMC. We'll be back with more OU football and recruiting talk on the other side. Keep it here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Bleed Crimson? Love great Sooner talk? Join the Ref Army by downloading our free app. Toby and TJ, Plank and Josh, Steelman and Thune, and Teddy and Tyler. We have the Sooner experts. The Ref is home to Sooner fans worldwide.
Coach Stoops here for Van Hoos Fence. If you want to work with the best local fence company and get championship service, contact my friend Mark and the Van Hoos Fence team. Van Hoos Fence gives each customer the most professional craftsmanship and competitive pricing in Oklahoma. From wood to chain link to vinyl to metal fences, the Van Hoos Fence team does it all. Contact the Fencing All-Americans at Van Hoos Fence, 405-735-1167 or vhfence.com.
More than 600,000 Oklahomans have disabilities. We can't afford to leave great employees behind just because they do things differently.
Who we are and what we accomplish
are much more important.
Hire an Oklahoman with a disability and gain dependability, commitment, and lower turnover. Reach out. Oklahoma Rehabilitation Services, okdrs.gov. 1-800-845-8476.
Don't miss out on OKC's hottest entertainment at the Showplace Theater with acts like Boys to Men, April 18th. America, April 26th. Patti LaBelle, May 2nd. And Scotty McCreery, May 10th. Riverwind is OKC's favorite casino experience.
That twinge in your knee isn't going to wait until Monday, and neither do we. At Orthostat, we've expanded, so you get better hours, better facilities, and the same great care. Open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Whether it's sprains, strains, fractures, or joint pain, from knuckles to knees and every joint in between, our same-day, affordable care gets you back to life faster. Visit OuchOrthostat.com to learn more.
Life can be complicated, but saving money shouldn't be. At OU Federal Credit Union, they make saving simple and stress-free. The best part? They have no hidden fees. Joining OUFCU means you're in control of your financial future. Whether it's a rainy day fund or saving for that dream vacation, they've got you covered. Visit OUFCU.com or come by one of their branches today. OU Federal Credit Union, where savings is simple and dreams come true. Member savings insured up to $250,000 by the NCUA.
Whether you're celebrating a special occasion, desire a great postgame, or after-work dining experience, the Ranch Steakhouse is the winning choice. At Ranch Steakhouse, we're grilling up the best USDA prime steaks in Oklahoma. Juicy, flavorful, and cooked to perfection. Pair that with an unbeatable atmosphere, a killer drink selection, and a wine list of over 400 personally curated bottles. Whether you're toasting the game or winding down after a big day, Ranch Steakhouse is where champions eat.
Do you love sports and looking for a way to stay active? What's up? It's Grayson Singleton, and the fastest growing sport in America has a new home here in Norman. Hey Pickle Pickle is now open with 5 state-of-the-art indoor courts. Hey Pickle Pickle is perfect for you regardless of your level of experience. With food to keep you fueled up while you play, you can also book your courts online today at heypicklefun.com or visit them in person, located just west of Hayday off of Indian Hills in Norman. Hey Pickle Pickle is open each day, 7 days a week at 9 a.m., where fun meets fitness.
One smile is great, but one smile in a community of smiles is so much better. Smile Train celebrates the cleft lip and palate community by empowering medical professionals in over 70 countries to perform essential cleft care in their local communities. Learn how Smile Train is helping the cleft lip and palate community at smiletrain.org/learn. Smile Train, changing the world one smile at a time.
Dang, Grayson. I didn't realize you're a little bit of a celebrity. This is Grayson Singleton for Hey Pickle Pickle.
Hey, I'm not going to lie, Parker. That was probably one of the most awkward commercials I've ever cut before.
Why is that? Because you had to say, hey, pickle, pickle?
What do you think?
And you couldn't help your mind from wandering?
I remember, so yesterday TJ came into my office. He's like, hey, I it for you. I'm like, all right, what's up? He's like, yeah, so basically you're just going to say, hey, pickle, pickle a couple times. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? But, no, it was good. I had no idea that there was a new pickleball place called Hey Pickle Pickle. I will probably
entrepreneurial folks.
I will probably
if you're thinking about
go there. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was going to say entrepreneurial type folks. This is the stuff you got to consider when you're naming a business. What's going to embed itself in people's mind?
Yep.
Now I think pickleball. I'm going to think, hey, pickle, pickle. That's good marketing right there.
That is. I like pickleball too.
And, oh yeah, pickleball's fun, and surprisingly strenuous. Like pickleball, Here's the thing. When I started college, pickleball was like an old person sport.
Uh-huh.
I would go visit my grandparents down in DFW, and they'd be playing pickleball in their pseudo-retirement community. That's what pickleball was.
Pseudo-retirement.
But over the last, 5-6 years, man, it's exploded. I tried it for the first time maybe 4 years ago. Yeah. I enjoy pickleball.
You got to be in
How can
shape
you
to
not?
play that, too. Like that'll get you worn down.
Yeah. If you're not in shape, if you haven't gotten your cardio in a while, and you head out and play pickleball, man, you are in for a rude awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Man, wanted to bring this up because I thought this was super, super interesting. Many OU fans will be familiar with the name Zane Rowe. And if you're not familiar with the name Zane Rowe is the number 96 overall prospect in the nation in the 2027 class. 6'5", 245 pounds, two-way guy, defensive end, tight end, out of Denton Guyer High School down in Texas, which, of course, is Jackson Arnold's alma mater, Peyton Bowen's alma mater, also Josiah Martin's alma mater. But Zane Rowe, for quite a while, was committed to the University of Oklahoma. Committed last year at the spring game in April. That commitment held until January when he backed off his pledge and decided to check out the open market once again. Oklahoma encouraged him to do so. They were not put off. They were not miffed. Their standpoint on the whole thing was, we will reel him back into the fold. It'll just take time. He committed before the end of his freshman year of high school anyway. So could you really have expected that commitment to last 2.5 years until signing day? But what I wanted to bring up, Grayson, with regard to Zane Rowe, is I got the chance to talk with him over the weekend down at OT7 in Dallas. And this was mere days after he had pretty abruptly, pretty out of nowhere, spur of the moment type deal, just showed up to practice in Norman. Decided to make the 2.5-hour trek up to OU and watch a practice. Now, the first time he committed to OU, he committed as a defensive end. He was under the impression, okay, I'm going to play defensive end at the next level. Then part of the reason he decommitted was because he started getting a bit of a hankering to play both ways. I think Travis Hunter and the Travis Hunter effect has convinced a lot of high school kids, for better or worse, that they can play both ways at the collegiate level. Travis Hunter is one of one. I would not necessarily encourage high school players to shoot for being the next Travis Hunter, but Zane Rowe wants to dabble on both sides of the ball, and I think there are plenty of guys out there that are capable of dabbling, certainly. Heck, we saw Jacoby Johnson dabble. Odds are you're not going to see many guys playing 100-plus snaps between offense and defense the way that Travis Hunter was for Colorado the last couple of years. But that was part of the reason Zane Rowe decommitted. I want to play defense. I want to play some offense. I should probably step back and look at this with a clear head if this is my new vision for myself. And so this was the first time he had gotten to watch a practice at Oklahoma since he decommitted. And so when I talked to him on Saturday, one of the quotes that I thought was very, very interesting from him was, I asked him about Ben Arbuckle and Oklahoma's new offensive scheme and what stood out to him about it. Because I'm thinking, okay, well, if he wants to play tight end, he's probably watching the offense a lot more intently at practice than he ever has before. And he delivered in his response. He said, and I quote, "I've seen a more versatile offense this time. Not a whole lot of RPO reads, but you get a lot of pro style. Of course, you've got John Mateer in the backfield, so you like that pro style fit, and then especially if you got somebody like Mike Hawkins that's still in that pro style fit, he still has the rush lane that they want to rush up field, and he can step up. I'd say it's a lot more versatile for the quarterbacks, and this is the part that really stood out to me, you're mixing in a lot more tight ends in there. So we have not really gotten to see, nor will we, until probably fall camp, if not week one. We haven't gotten to see an extended period of 11-on-11 competition on the practice field such that we can really get a feel for what the tight end's role is going to be in Ben Arbuckle's offense. But if you're just taking what Zane Rowe said at face value, as a guy that got unfettered access to practice when he showed up last Tuesday or whatever that was, this is somebody that thinks and sees that the tight end is going to be featured a lot more prominently at Oklahoma this year than it has in the past. What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Singleton? Because naturally, I think this also collides in an interesting manner with the greater conversation that we've been having about the tight end room for some time now, which is who's going to step up because they need somebody to do that.
Well, if he's going to start running more two tight end, if there's going to be a rotation at tight end, you might want to figure out the question to that because you'll have some weak links if you don't know the answer to that. To the two sides of the ball thing, Travis Hunter started an unfortunate trend, yes, because there's going to be a lot of people who think that they can do this. Here's the thing that we have to realize. Travis Hunter was a wide receiver and a corner. Zane Rowe is a defensive lineman looking to play tight end as well. The types of punishment that your body is subjected to doing it Travis Hunter or doing what Zane Rowe is thinking he might do are two worlds apart. So I don't know if that's a good idea at all for him to be playing high-level defensive line and aiming to play high-level tight end at the same time. I just don't think that. Wide receiver corner is one thing. As for Ben Arbuckle's system, it now makes sense why they brought in Carson Kent. I'll say that. It makes sense why they were more open to Jaren Kanak switching sides of the ball, but they've got to get this figured out if he's going to be running a lot of two tight end with an H-back, hell, maybe a three tight end looks from time to time, because you can't have a bunch of unproven guys who aren't giving you anything out there. And Arbuckle saying that, the players are going to dictate the system, we do have to realize that might come to fruition. He might have to back off the trying to play two tight ends, a tight end with an H-back, if nobody emerges as being capable of giving you something, if multiple guys don't emerge of being capable of giving you something. That might have to be something he backs off of.
Yeah, and I guess I probably should have followed up and asked him to clarify in the midst of that conversation. But I'd love to know whether more prominently featuring the tight ends means throwing them more passes or just seeing them on the field more. Right? And we did see the tight end on the field a lot for Oklahoma last year, but it was Bauer Sharp, and that soured a lot of people on the entire tight end experience at the University of Oklahoma. Braden Willis and his standout 2022 season, that kind of feels like forever ago at this point. And so I do not know. I legitimately do not know. And I don't think we will until probably late in the fall camp process who the best pass-catching tight end on Oklahoma's roster is. From what I've seen so far on the practice field, and again, we have not seen any legit 11-on-11 full-speed action, but from what I've seen and what I've heard so far, Jaren Kanak is the guy that's leading the charge as a pass catcher. Jaren Kanak, in fact, I was told first scrimmage that they had, he caught a touchdown pass, broke a couple tackles on the way to the end zone. So the returns have been solid on Jaren Kanak thus far. But what I think we learned last year, we've been over this, is that if you have a tight end on the field on a regular basis in the Southeastern Conference, said tight end has got to be able to hold his own as a blocker. Because if he cannot hold his own as a blocker, you're going to get exposed. He's going to get exposed, and your offense is going to get exposed. For instance, this ties in nicely to a text from Tyson in Stigler on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Tyson says, y'all say Zion Raggins is so fast, but he never seemed wide open on deep balls. And the reason why he never seemed wide open on deep balls is because Oklahoma was horrible up front last year. They were horrible up front. And in order to get guys running wide open down the field and letting the play develop to the point where you can have somebody break free 30, 40 yards downfield and clear a defender, clear the secondary, and that window to open for the shot play, well, you got to have good protection. You can't have the protection breaking down within a second or two, which happens so frequently for Oklahoma. In fact, I can remember, and I talked about Brennan Thompson last segment, and about how he struggled to create separation, which he did. But I can recall the one game where it did feel like Brennan Thompson was creating a great deal of separation against his man was when the Sooners traveled to Ole Miss. If you recall, OU lost that game 26-14. They hung in there for quite a while. Actually led that game at halftime, as I recall, 14-12, going into the intermission. And then Ole Miss kind of separated in the second half and powered down the Sooners offensively, and that came with much greater and much more effective pressure on the quarterback. But I remember sitting there in the third and fourth quarter of that game, watching from down on the sidelines, and it seemed like on a pretty regular basis, Brennan Thompson was getting clear of his man, but by the time he got his head turned around, Jackson Arnold was either already going down or he was running for his life without the capacity to launch the ball 50 yards downfield. And so you have got to be able to protect your quarterback. Above all else in the SEC, you've got to be able to protect your quarterback and establish the run. That's the only way you can have an effective passing attack. Because you can have creative route concepts. You can have an offensive mastermind at the helm, dialing up the plays. But if your quarterback does not have time to allow the play to unfold, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle to complete passes. You're going to struggle to move the ball. You're going to struggle to sustain drives. You will struggle to put up points.
And Parker,
and
that's
if you don't score in the SEC.
No, go ahead. Finish that thought.
Go ahead.
No, okay. No, I was literally
just going to say.
Yeah, I was just going to say, going off of that, that's why every time we ask the question about impactful transfer, most consequential transfer, most important one, who's the guy that I have answered that question number one throughout the last couple of months? Derek Simmons, the tackle that you brought in from Western Carolina. He has got to be a part of shoring up that pass protection, because you can have athletes everywhere on the field. If your quarterback's running for his life in 1.5 seconds from touching the ball, the athletes don't matter. It does not matter. It's going to completely neutralize everything you want to do downfield. So you're exactly right, and that's why I think a guy like a Derek Simmons is such a pivotal part of this team. And it might be a situation that this offense will go as that right tackle spot goes.
Michael and Marlowe on the text line said, there's a consignment store in Duncan called Tickle Your Pickle. No, there's not.
There's no way.
No, there's not. You're messing with me. You're messing with me, Michael and Marlowe. Send me photographic evidence.
I'm looking this up on maps. I'm not going to Google that because God knows what's going to come up if I do that.
Yeah, please do not Google that. Yeah, NSFW. That is the epitome of NSFW. Do not Google that. Certainly do not Urban Dictionary that, folks. While Grayson is doing that little bit of internet research, let's hit a timeout.
There's
we'll come
no
back.
way. There's no way that's a thing, because the first thing that comes up on my maps is Pickleman's.
I do love me some Picklemans. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Back with more OU football and recruiting talk and answers to any and all of your queries on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. On the other side, keep it right here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
This is Deion Burks, and you're listening to the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
What's up, Ref Army? It's Dusty Dvorak, and I'm back. I'm excited to be back with the Ref and cannot wait to help bring the home of Sooner fans the best Sooner coverage. Catch me every Tuesday and Wednesday during the 10 a.m. hour of The Plank Show as I cut it up with Plank and Josh about everything in the world of Sooner and college football. That's every Tuesday and Wednesday on The Plank Show, and there's only one place to hear it. The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Download the KRF app today to listen from anywhere.
Dreaming of your own backyard oasis? Be the envy of your neighborhood and let Signature Custom Pools help you create the perfect poolside paradise. Their professional design expertise can transport you into your own Mystic Falls, suburban sanctuary, or Mediterranean retreat. Settle into an endless vacation, entertain your family, friends, and get the signature touch with Signature Custom Pools. Call them for a free consultation at 405-898-9098 or visit them online at signaturecustompools.com today.
The deals are madness this March across Esprit Honda's full inventory. Shop 2 great deals on Honda's most popular 2025 SUVs. Pay just $249 a month for an HR-V LX front-wheel drive or $289 per month for a CR-V EX front-wheel drive. And for every vehicle purchased in March, we'll donate $100 to Toby Keith's OK Kids Corral. That's 89th and I-35 or online at EspertHonda.com.
HR-V front-wheel drive, $2.99 for 36 months. CR-V front-wheel drive, $1.99 for 36 months. Per year, 10,000-mile lease, $500 down plus TT&L and first month's payment through AHF ends 4/125.
Attention construction pros. Purple Wave Auction brings quality equipment to your fingertips. Join our bi-weekly online auctions featuring dozers, excavators, loaders, and more. We provide detailed listings, photos, and seller contact info. Inspect online or in person. With our no reserve policy, every item sells to the highest bidder. Visit purplewave.com today and see why informed builders choose Purple Wave. Transparent processes, real deals. Your next great purchase awaits. purplewave.com.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Mathew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information.
Landmark Fine Homes is a custom home builder in Oklahoma City. Our commitment is to build energy-efficient, custom-quality crafted homes around the metro OKC area. If you're looking to build your first home or last, Landmark Fine Homes is the builder for you. We have many floor plans to choose from, or bring us one that you already have. We have communities throughout the metro, or we will build on your lot. Call 405-347-5991 and let Landmark Fine Homes help turn your dreams into a reality.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
A heads up before something bad happens.
You should not send that text.
Uh-oh. Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can reverse prediabetes and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Why did I wait so long to see a retina specialist?
Retinal disease can steal your eyesight, but it doesn't have to. Patients who seek care from a retina specialist have the best chance of preventing vision loss due to age-related macular degeneration or diabetic retinopathy. AMD symptoms to look out for are distortion or warping of straight lines, as well as blurred or loss of central vision. Patients with diabetic retinopathy should seek treatment if they notice the appearance of spots or floaters or blurred and distorted vision. Visit seeforalifetime.org.
Somebody on Twitter did a March Madness bracket based on how heavy each starting five in the tournament is.
Interesting.
Your fatty Final Four consists of Iowa State, Mississippi State, Maryland, and Illinois. Iowa State over Mississippi State in the championship game. So apparently Iowa State is the fattest team in the field.
Iowa State? I would not have guessed that with all those guards that they play with.
I tell you, they took it to Lipscomb today in the round of 64. I kind of thought Lipscomb might, at the very least, give them a game.
You and Connor
I did not
Pasby.
expect. Oh, was Connor Pasby on the Lipscomb
Yes,
train?
Connor Pasby, I think, picked Lipscomb.
Did he really?
I think so.
See, I don't think I picked them. I'll have to check when I get back in the studio on Monday how my bracket's doing. I mean, Louisville lost, so I'm kind of toast as it is. But I can't remember if I picked Lipscomb or if I just thought, you know what, they'll hang in that game with Iowa State. But Iowa State wins 82-55 in that one. Other finals today from the NCAA men's tournament: Baylor over Mississippi State, 9/8 there, 75-72 in the East region. Baylor advances. And then you had Alabama holding off a hard-charging Robert Morris Colonials team, 90-81, although Robert Morris actually did lead that game in the final minutes before Alabama was able to put a couple shots down and establish some distance. Current scores: Colorado State, the 12 seed in the West region, leads Memphis 56-52. Nico Medved, what a fantastic job he has done out there with that Rams squad. By the way, you remember Ali Farokhmanesh?
I do.
Ali Farokhmanesh is probably going to be the next head coach at Colorado State, I would guess, whenever Nico Medved is ready for the next big-time job that comes calling, which shouldn't be too much longer. He's on staff there as Medved's right-hand man. So who knows? A year from now at this time, we might be watching Ali Farokhmanesh lead a team into the field of 68 as their head coach. What a run that was for Northern Iowa. I'm pretty sure they only went to the Sweet 16 and whatever year that was, 2010, 2011 maybe. But
yeah.
Ali Farokhmanesh, that's the type of name you don't forget, especially in March. Vanderbilt and St. Mary's tied at 9 apiece early in that one. Not surprisingly, number 1 seed Duke leads big over Mount St. Mary's. 41-20 is the score of that game with 6 minutes to play before halftime. To the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Hey, by the way, apparently your internet research was insufficient, Grayson, because per multiple reports on the text line, Tickle Your Pickle is a real place.
Yeah.
Not only is it a real place, the business is also for sale. What do you say? You want to go into business together?
You and I going into business together for an endeavor that says Tickle Your Pickle might be the most ironic and iconic thing at the same time. And I think my internet research was insufficient because I looked up Tickle My Pickle instead of Tickle Your Pickle, which
Why did you look up Tickle My Pickle?
Because when I was looking at it, I accidentally typed mine after we said your. I got it confused. My bad.
Standing offer. You want to go into business? I'll throw some money down.
Why the
we
hell?
Can make it happen.
Why the hell not?
Come on. We can market the heck out of that thing. On the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, this has been a popular topic of conversation, but obviously we were talking tight ends last segment, and so here's Frisco Sooner chiming in with another Jaren Kanak question. He asked, man, I hope it works out for Jaren Kanak, but doesn't that worry you, Parker, that Kanak is 6'2", 230 pounds, playing tight end now for only a couple months, and he's the best option we have at the tight end position?
Good question.
I know one thing. It concerns me a lot, and I'm sorry, but for me, that is an indictment on Joe John Finley. Look, I think it's perfectly fair to say that the tight end room is probably not where it should be. In terms of depth, in terms of overall talent level, like when you're bringing in a transfer from Pittsburgh State to round out the room that has all of 20 catches at the collegiate level, 19 of which came at the D2 level, and he's going to be a sixth-year senior, the room is definitely not where you want it to be. But I also do not want to dismiss or diminish the athlete that Jaren Kanak is. Because 6'2", 230, that's still plenty sizable. Maybe it's not big by tight end standards, but I wouldn't say it's small for tight end standards. Maybe small by SEC standards, but that's offset, in my mind, by the fact that Jaren Kanak is absolutely one of the fastest players on Oklahoma's entire roster. And he's played linebacker for the last 3 years, so you know he's got the nastiness. So I see him as a guy that's going to contribute as a willing blocker and certainly as a field stretcher. I don't know what he's going to look like running the whole route tree, but if nothing else, man, he's going to be a very unenviable matchup for a linebacker, because how many linebackers do you see in college football that can run a 10-3 in the 100 meters and are going to be able to stay stride for stride with Jaren Kanak?
Not very many. And I will say this to the texter's question and why this horribly concerns me. It's not the fact that he's not that he right now is the best overall tight end. You used the word pass catching in the first segment. The best pass catching tight end for the Oklahoma Sooners right now is a linebacker. That is what concerns me right now, because I think even at 275, even if Devon Mitchell is overweight and maybe he gets down to 260 or something like that by the time the season rolls around, he should be pretty stout enough to be formidable as a blocker, as an traditional inline tight end, being able to chip and block in the run game. But the fact that the athlete that Davon Mitchell is, the fact that you have Caden Helm, Carson Kent, Huggins, and none of them are better pass catching, just isolating pass catching. The fact that none of them are better pass catching than a dude who has played linebacker, that is wildly concerning to me. I don't know if I'm overreacting. Maybe I am. But that is concerning.
Yeah, and I guess I would follow that up by saying we don't know that to be the case, right? I think, based on what I've seen, based on what I've heard, that Kanak is a step ahead of the crowd right now in the tight end room. There is plenty of margin for that to change. And I would hope that by August, when the Sooners open the 2025 season, there is another tight end that has at least emerged as comparable to Jaren Kanak as a pass-catching weapon. The big thing and kind of the big unquantified variable in that room is Devon Mitchell, man. Like, does it come together for Devon Mitchell? Also, can he play tight end effectively in the SEC at 275 pounds?
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't look fat when you see him out there on the practice field, but 275 is 275. There aren't a lot of guys, Grayson, that are going to run as well at 275 as they are at 240, 250.
Mm-hmm.
That's just reality.
Yeah. That's one of those things that is you've got to wait to see it. And the fact that you keep saying that he doesn't look fat out there, that his body fat percentage isn't at a spot where it should not be, makes this even more dicey. Because if he is still a lean 275, you would think he retained most of the speed and agility, given that there weren't any, ticky-tack injuries that happened while he was putting on this muscle. But something, Parker, and I think you're going to be with me on this one, something isn't adding up. The math isn't mathing, as we like to say. So if he did retain the speed and he's going to be able to get down the field and be a matchup problem at 275, great. But it makes more sense right now that that's not going to be the case, and there's going to have to be some type of a summer cut before we go into the football season for him to be at his best.
Yeah, I bet Schmidt will sweat at least a little bit of that weight off him. Jerry Schmidt is known to do that. Jeff from OKC on the text line says, I hope Kanak goes off at tight end, but then I'll be saying, why did we wait to make this move? Yeah, well, Jeff, you know what? If he goes off at tight end, just let yourself be happy about it.
Yeah.
I know that's an easy thing to second-guess with the benefit of hindsight, but just let yourself be happy about it. Hey, great point from a listener in the 405. One of John Mateer's most reliable red zone targets last year at Washington State was Cooper Mathers.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper Mathers, 13 catches, 196 yards on the year. Okay. But then you get to the touchdowns column. 6 touchdown catches. 6 of his 13 receptions went for touchdowns. We mentioned that Jaren Kanak is listed at 6'2", 230. Cooper Mathers listed at, take a guess here, 6'2", 230. Exact same height and weight as Jaren Kanak. And I would venture a guess safely that Jaren Kanak is at least a couple steps faster than Cooper Mathers, because he's at least a couple steps faster than most every other tight end in America. Mike in Sand Springs says, let's hope he goes off, and then let's all be happy.
Amen.
I agree, Mike. It should be as simple as that. Guy plays well, you are happy about it. That shouldn't be a hard thing to convince people of in 2025 either, after what they endured in 2024. Hopefully, if Oklahoma does rebound, and they play good ball, and they play effective offense, and you have some guys that enjoy individual breakout performances, one of whom might well be Jaren Kanak, you can just say, well, last year sucked, but at least we made it through, and things have gotten a whole heck of a lot better. Michael in Marlowe asks, so was the 289 that Mitchell got on Twitter to defend actually accurate? 289, yeah, he was never 289.
Whoa.
He is listed on the spring roster at 275. And to the best of my knowledge, that is accurate. That is not a typo.
289 would have been wildly concerning. We might have think to move him to the other side of the ball and play.
Then you're playing guard.
Or
get ready to learn Bill Bedenbow, young man.
One-star Cole and Claremore. Just two preacher's sons talking about, you can figure out the rest of that from the start of the segment.
Oh, my goodness. Cole, you, sir, are tawdry.
Come on, Steely.
All right, well, we are just settling in here, folks. We have 3 more hours of sports talk to go. I am out here at Riverwind Casino on a Friday. You should come out, too. Right off of I-35, Highway 9. Lots going on out here at Riverwind, as always. America, Patti LaBelle coming to the Showplace Theater here over the next month. All the electronic games, all the table games, the poker tables, and the live music, and so much more out here at Riverwind. Hope to see you throughout the day, but you're certainly going to hear us because we got 3 more hours to go. Keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. We'll be back.